want to host this summer, but I do not want to overspend or break the bank. So when homemaking and having people over and hosting, it can get really expensive if you don't watch what you're doing, what you're buying, how you're kind of pulling things together. So I thought I would take you along with me on a weekend of hosting some family and having a house full of people, really, and a whole bunch of kids that are laughing, running, playing, and all of that good stuff around us all weekend. So I thought it would be fun to just take you along. So I am doing a lot of prep work ahead of time. That is my number one tip when it comes to hosting on a budget, is doing as much prep work as possible so you can be with your friends, with your family, be very present and not have to be in the kitchen so much, because making your own food does save you a lot of money when you buy the ingredients, and the output can be so much greater than what you were to buy, but you are sacrificing price for time for sure. It is a lot more convenient just to buy things in the store, but homemade things can be so delicious and save you a lot of money. We are starting out today with some chocolate chip cookies. I really wanted to get that dough in the freezer. I love to freeze my chocolate chip cookie dough for several hours before I bake it. This helps the cookies not run all over the place and keep their shape, so they are nice and fluffy and soft with a little bit of crunch, because we all love a crunch and soft chocolate chip cookie. So I just put that on a parchment paper and then I just threw them in the freezer. I'll leave all the recipes down below for you guys, whether they're my own or from another baker creator. I'll leave them in the description. I went out and I picked some strawberries because our strawberries are just blooming this time of year on our patio. And then, of course, when you're going to have people at your house, you need to have food, right? You have to host with food. Food is the heart of the home, I feel like, and people get hungry. So I'm headed off to my local grocery store just to pick up a few little things, nothing crazy, and just make sure we have some food in the house for the weekend. But I don't want to spend too much, so I am very conscious on what I pick, but I love good quality food. The tea is for me. I'm not even gonna lie, I had to throw a tea in there. I'm just showing you our beautiful seafood section and a little bit of our local grocery store. This store is beautiful. They put a lot of effort into every single display. All their food is really good quality, and I'm really grateful to have a good local grocery store next to me. But I didn't buy any seafood today. Sometimes we do, and it's absolutely delicious, fresh, and lovely, but we're not doing seafood this weekend. But yeah, they have so many different varieties. They even have a wine tasting area as well, which is really fun. I've never done this, but they do host wine tastings, and they have such a good selection of seafood at our local store. And then they also have a really good deli. They make their own sausages there as well. But I'm just going to go ahead and get the good little turkey lunch meat, because I wanted to get some sandwich stuff because sandwiches are always cheap, and we're going to be by the pool for a little snack. I also popped into the little Pillsbury section, and I just wanted to see what they have, because as a baker, I'm always interested to see what is on shelves. Banana bread batter was interesting, and monkey bread. I actually am going to make monkey bread in this video because monkey bread is a favorite around here. It's really fun to make. It's not too hard to make either. And then I saw this roll of butter, this Amish butter. This looked interesting. I have never tried this. Let me know down below if you have. And then they have all your other butter brands that are honestly not the greatest, but I love seeing what they have on store shelves. Nestle's cookies are absolutely delicious, but I do feel like the homemade cookies, I'll leave the recipe down below, are even more delicious. But yeah, growing up, it was always Nestle's. I don't love them as a brand, though. They are pretty. They've done some pretty shady things over the last several years, so I don't like to support them, but I will say they have a delicious cookie. I am going to get some Tillamook cheese for our sandwiches. I would love to visit the Tillamook dairy. I feel like that would be so fun, or creamery. Or would it be considered a dairy? Or both? Because they make cheese. But I would love to go and visit where they make the cheese. I think it's in Oregon, if I'm not mistaken. That would be a really fun trip. I'm going to actually grab some bread, believe it or not, because I decided we were going to have sandwiches last minute and I did not have any bread in my freezer stash because I haven't been baking bread as much lately just because I've been tired. A girl is tired and pregnant, okay? So I have not been doing a ton of bread baking lately like normal. We just haven't been eating as much bread, which is okay. So I'm going to pick up some sourdough bread as well as just some sandwich bread as well. And I'm looking at the ingredients and they're pretty decent. Really, truly, you only need like 6 ingredients, if that, to make sourdough. So it's always interesting to see all the additives and preservatives and crazy stuff they put in our food. But you know what? It's going to have to do for this weekend because hosting does not need to be perfect. The people are coming for your company, love and support, and that's really all that matters. I saw this really cool Jello situation. I have not tried that, but I thought it was really pretty to look at. And my kids definitely wanted to try it maybe one day. But it looks really good. Or should I say it looks really interesting, especially the rainbow one. I'm going to grab some mayo that is made with avocado oil, which is really good and has good ingredients, so I love that. I am a pretty big ingredient reader, as you guys know. I love to read labels, and I think it's really good to do that. And then I was going to pick up some salad dressing. I didn't actually end up picking any up because I just could not decide on which one to get. So I ended up getting, I think, just good old ranch. But yeah, I like the Brianna's dressings. I think that the packaging is really cute as well as the dressings are delicious. And then I wanted to also pick up some parchment baking paper. I like to get the If You Care brand. It is non-bleached, non-toxic, as well as it comes in little baking sheets, which I appreciate. So you don't have to like cut those little sheets yourself because that's just really convenient. And I like that. I like to get convenience where I can. We're picking up some fresh produce. My daughter's with me and has her baby doll that goes everywhere with us in the cart. So we just did a little bit of shopping. Now we're back at the house and I am actually going to make some Play-Doh. I mixed up the Play-Doh ingredients the night prior as well as the cookie dough dry ingredients. Doing this and prepping ahead of time really helps in getting things done as you're going. Pre-mixing all of the dry ingredients like salt, flour, cream of tartar for the Play-Doh, and then, you know, all the other dry ingredients, baking powder, baking soda, flour, salt, all of that stuff for chocolate chip cookies. It really helps to pre-mix and do it ahead of time. So when you're actually ready to bake or mix the dough together, it's just done for you. I will leave my stovetop Play-Doh recipe down below. It is a good one. We love it. It's very simple. It comes together in just a few minutes. Play-Doh is expensive in the stores and I feel like it dries out kind of quick. This does not dry out nearly as quick and the texture is really good. I didn't feel like fussing with any food coloring this time, so I just took some non-toxic sprinkles. You can use regular sprinkles. It really doesn't matter. This is just what I had on hand because I wanted it to be colorful and fun still for the kids and not just plain beige Play-Doh, but I didn't want to fuss with food coloring this time. So I ended up just doing sprinkles and that was a hit. It was really fun as they rolled and played with the Play-Doh. It made this really cool rainbow effect throughout the dough and the kids really enjoyed that. And yeah, it reminded me of the confetti Play-Doh that you can get from the brand, I think, Play-Doh that we all love and know and we grew up with. But yeah, that stuff is expensive in stores. You can get good deals on Play-Doh, but I had a bunch of kids, a whole house full of kids, and I wanted it to stretch and not have to buy a whole bunch of tubs of Play-Doh. So I typically just make it because I have all the ingredients at home. You're going to need cream of tartar, some kind of oil. I think I used avocado oil, flour, water, salt. Very simple. I don't use the good salt for this though. I use good old Morton salt because I'm not going to waste my good kosher or pink salt, Himalayan salt on Play-Doh, okay? No. not for Play-Doh. I would have even used like non-toxic sprinkles if I had them, but I only had my good Wilton dye-free sprinkles, so we just went ahead and used what we have, girl. Just got to use what you got. I am being a little extra here and I am weighing out the Play-Doh for all of the kids because I don't want to hear any fighting or complaining. Not that that's going to solve a whole bunch of problems because, kids fight no matter what. It's just a kid thing when you have a whole bunch of kids together. But I wanted to make the Play-Doh even, and then I'm rolling it actually in some oil. I'm putting some avocado oil on my hands and I'm just going to coat the Play-Doh in the avocado oil. This just helps it stay pliable longer. And every time the kids play with the Play-Doh, I actually spray a little bit of oil in the bag when they're done with it, as well as if it's been out for a while, I'll spray a little bit of avocado oil on their hands and then let them play with it and mix in the oil so the Play-Doh stays nice and soft and pliable and it doesn't get all like flaky and gross. That's only if it's been out for a long time and they've been playing with it for a while. I like to just make it last as long as possible, and it will last like up to 2 weeks in a plastic bag if you are storing it in a good airtight container. It will last quite a bit of time, like 2-3 weeks. So highly recommend to make your own Play-Doh. You can add colors, you can add textures. It's so fun. And now I am going to mix up some dough. I cannot remember, is this pizza dough or is this monkey bread dough? I think this is actually pizza dough. I am doing this all in my robe, by the way. Once I got back from the store, I ended up taking a shower because it was like hot and a girl was sweaty, and then I just started like making things in my robe. So yeah, I'm just chilling in my robe and I'm going to mix that dough, put it in a nice warm place, and then now I'm going to make the monkey bread dough because that was the pizza dough. Down below, we did a make your own pizza night, which was so fun. The kids absolutely adored that, and it was so funny to watch them make their own little combinations and toppings and roll out their dough. It was very, very sweet, and it was so fun. Highly recommend to do that if you're hosting a time or two, is a make your own pizza night. It was so fun. The children, they got a kick out of that. And we actually just had the same family members over this past weekend when I'm recording it, and they wanted to make their own pizza again. They had so much fun with it, but we didn't do that this time. The monkey bread is a little bit more of a hydrated dough, so it is a little bit sticky and harder to work with. Actually, my monkey bread dough is the same dough that I use to make my sandwich bread loaves in the Pullman pans, which are basically, if you don't know what a Pullman pan is, it is a bread loaf tin that has a top on it and you bake it with the top on. Pretty old school, but I absolutely love my Pullman pans. But long story short, I am using the same recipe as I use for my Pullman loaf. I also use the same recipe for my cinnamon rolls as well. And it's just really delicious. Honestly, you can change it up however you want to, but I keep the main base dough part the same, and then what I do after that to assemble the cinnamon rolls and the monkey bread is a little bit different than how I would do the Pullman loaf, because obviously it's a savory versus a sweet treat. So yeah, I really enjoy using the same recipe. I love recipes that I either find or kind of create myself that are very versatile. I absolutely love that. But when you're working with more of a sticky dough, it's good to use some avocado oil or something like that in the bowl so it's easier to get out and you have a cleaner rise, and it's just easier to get out that way. So I'm going to let this double in size and go do something else. I am still in my robe after taking a shower from going to the store. I just felt like I was sticky and gross. I always have children in the kitchen right behind the camera with me. They pop in, they pop out, and they just absolutely love to see what I'm doing and help me and feel things and yada yada. The kids are always there with me, and that's always a joy And I always tell myself that I am living the dream I always wanted to, even when there's so much chaos around me. It is cold brew time because I have yet to have coffee and I definitely want some. So I did my cold brew. I did a little bit of maple syrup as well as a pinch of salt and some creamer that I spilled everywhere because what's new, and then a little bit of cold foam on top. And then I finally got dressed. A girl is feeling very pregnant these days and have to take little breaks from being on my feet, but that is okay. It gives me a chance to slow down even more in this season of life, which is definitely much needed. I am going to make some sausage and get those toppings together for making our own pizzas, as well as prepare two big pizzas for the adults, mainly for the adults, and also to tide the kids over while they are making their own pizzas, because we are going to be pretty busy this weekend, as well as taking it slow. I know both can kind of exist in the same way. I feel like we're going to be doing some cherry picking and swimming, but also just kind of taking it slow and not rush through whatever we're doing and hang out. But I want to have some good food on hand, and making your own pizza is definitely a lot cheaper than if you were to go order Mountain Mike's or Round Table, or Costco pizza is pretty affordable, and we do like Costco pizza, but once it gets cold, it kind of tastes like cardboard. So not that big of a fan. Little Caesars is cheap, but like again, not that great once it sits for a little bit. And I like our favorite pizza, no one asked, but eating out is Mountain Mike's if I had to pick like a food chain pizza. But yeah. Oh, I love when the dough sticks to the plate after the first rise. I just love the texture. I don't know why. I just love picking it off the bowl and just seeing it pull apart from the dough on the plate. I love that. Anyway, so our dough has doubled in size and it is ready to go. Time to roll out our pizza dough and get that going. But first, I am going to shape and weigh out my dough. So that way each kid that's making their own pizza has like a pretty consistent size of their pizza. I always put a little bit of flour down too, because you don't want your dough to stick, of course. Look at that dough that is just so beautifully aerated with that rise. I absolutely love fluffy dough. Love the volume. It's so soft. And this is pizza dough, by the way. I don't know if I already said that. But yeah, I'm going to weigh them out in grams and have two bigger pizzas, one combination, one pepperoni, as well as the kids will make their own little pizzas. And I'm going to cut them some dough, roll that up, and then put it in the fridge. This pizza dough is good in the fridge for several hours, even like a day or two, I would say. But you do not want it to over ferment, because pizza dough does have yeast in it and it will over ferment in the fridge if you are not careful. So you don't want to go more than like 2 days with it in the fridge before using it. Now these two big balls are going to be my two big pizzas. I'm just going to flour those babies up real quick and then pop my little crock bowl on top and let those gluten strands kind of relax so we can roll out our dough without it bouncing back at us. If your dough is rolling back and bouncing back at you and it's hard to roll out, the trick is to let it sit for a little bit and let those gluten strands kind of loosen up. I let it sit for about 20 minutes, go feed the baby, and then I came back. And then it was perfect to roll out. And the other little dough balls I put in the fridge for when we decide to make our own pizza while having our family over. And so that was really fun for them to do. But yeah, you don't want to let it over ferment too long. Now, the fridge does slow down the fermentation process when it comes to yeast quite a bit, because yeast really thrives in a warm environment. The warmer the environment is, the faster you're going to have proofing. And then if you wait too long, it'll overproof. So yeast can be finicky in that way. But again, if you put it in the fridge, it should slow down the process quite a bit. And it will be good for 2 days in the fridge. Now you can freeze pizza dough too, homemade pizza dough, and that works really well. I would just mix up the dough and then let it rise and then put it in the freezer. And then you have pizza dough whenever you want that's homemade. And it's pretty simple, just a few ingredients. So I have done that many times as well. But then you can also just freeze the pizza. You can do the first rise, roll it out, put all the toppings on, and then freeze the pizza on a sheet and then wrap up the pizza. And there you have a frozen pizza from home, made from your own ingredients that you picked. And there you go, some convenience for you. Because I know a lot of us moms or homemakers that make things from scratch really just ache sometimes for some convenience. Now, convenience for us usually means having to sacrifice some time when you have time at a different time period in order for your future self to thank you for that convenience. So I know it's not always the most practical thing to meal prep, but man, do you thank yourself when you're in the future and you're tired and you don't feel like buying anything out or cooking anything. These kind of things really come in handy. But yeah, making your own pizza is great. I put some onions underneath the cheese for those picky eaters because I know kids can be picky. I wanted to do like vegetables like peppers and some other things like mushrooms on here as well. But because we were having family over and I know that they are kind of picky eaters, I didn't really want to do that because I don't want them to have to pick a whole bunch of stuff off, and I didn't want food to be wasted as well. Now, when it comes to picky eaters, I really do truly believe that if you give your children the kind of food that you eat, and we don't do this whole like kid food versus adult food kind of thing, like a lot of kid food, if we think about it, is really deemed to be like hot dog, pizzas, chicken nuggets, that kind of thing. And a lot of it's more unhealthy if you guys kind of notice what we deem in America as kid food. I just find that to be kind of interesting. And I feel like we really do this thing where I'm guilty of this too for my first two kids for sure, is not realizing that when you're allowing them to be picky when they're little, and therefore you create these picky eaters where they don't want to eat a bunch of things. Now, I'm not saying that your kids are always going to like everything and anything that you give them. I understand they're little humans and they have preferences and opinions and their own little taste buds, and that's totally fine. But I do find that if you give them the same kind of food that you're eating when they're babies, they are less likely to be picky when they are toddlers and young kids. So I just thought that was interesting. I've also read some studies about that as well, but trying to do so much better this time around with my daughter and my next baby to not really do the kid food, adult food thing, because later on, I feel like it's just really frustrating to try to get them to eat good food and them not to be overly picky. And I do see this in family and friends' kids as well, but yeah, I feel like it's important to start them out on the good stuff when they're babies and not really allow them to be too picky, as well as don't give them too many options. More like, this is what I made for dinner. If you're hungry, you'll eat it. And not just give them like a whole bunch of options to eat what you didn't cook. You guys get what I'm saying? I mean, when I was growing up, there wasn't options. Like if you didn't like shepherd's pie or whatever lasagna that was for dinner, especially when my grandma would cook, it's like that's what you get. This is what it is. So if you don't like it, then you just kind of don't eat. And I don't know. I just think it's interesting how we choose to go about the kid and adult food situation. But yeah, in my house, whatever I cook for dinner, whether it's my kid's favorite or not, is what's for dinner. Whether you eat, I would never force anyone to eat if they don't want to eat. But if they're hungry, they're going to eat it, is my point. Now we are going to assemble the monkey bread. I did not measure this out. As you can see, I am a measure with your heart kind of girl. I just kind of go with what I feel like is good, and it usually always works out. So I just did however much brown sugar. I did like a whole stick of butter, and I also did a lot of cinnamon. It probably looked like I put in like dumps of cinnamon, but that's because I kind of did. I wanted a good amount of cinnamon flavor to be in the monkey bread. Who remembers monkey bread as a kid? I just went to the store and you guys just saw like the store-bought monkey bread. The packaging that I saw from Pillsbury, it was like you have to still bake it and assemble it yourself, which I think is kind of cool. But they give you like all the tools and the ingredients, which is interesting because when I was a kid and my grandma used to buy monkey bread, it used to come like already like frozen. And I've seen that in the stores recently too. The same one my grandma used to buy where the cousins and all of us would be over, all the grandkids, and she used to just throw that in the oven. And oh my gosh, monkey bread is so good. It is such a treat. It is not something we have all the time, but sometimes it's requested for birthdays by my kids or by my brother. They absolutely love it, or during holiday seasons. I think the last time I made it was Christmas, and my kids had it Christmas morning with like some sausages and eggs and stuff like that. So good alongside some protein. Like I said, it is definitely a sweet treat. We love our sweet treats over here, but it's just so nostalgic. Like my grandma used to always make monkey bread, or no, I'm sorry, she used to always warm up monkey bread in the oven, and it was just so good. Monkey bread definitely reminds me of my grandma's house and just that cozy childhood that I'm so thankful that I had. And I just want to recreate that for my children. And so I like to make the sweet treats that they love and enjoy. And it's a labor of love, but I absolutely think it's worth spending my time doing. I love living slow and taking my time to be in the kitchen and fill tummies and hearts and memories with this kind of feel good food. And I know it's not like an everyday thing you should be eating, but again, we all need some sweet treats here and there. So I like to share when I do make them, as well as we do share with neighbors and stuff too, or I bring food to other people. Sometimes too with that I have left over because you don't want to eat too many sweet treats, right? But yeah, so I just am rolling these balls, nothing crazy, no rhythm really about it. I like to do some different sizes to give the monkey bread a little bit of a different texture and structure. I like to keep the bigger ones at the top, which end up being the bottom because you flip it over. I am using a Bundt pan from the thrift store that I thrifted a few years ago, and it's nice because it's like a spring form Bundt pan. It kind of reminds me of a spring form pan because you can loosen it up so you're able to take off the Bundt pan a lot easier. But it's not quite spring form because it doesn't completely disconnect. But it's a really nice pan that I was able to find. And then I went ahead and took the rest of that brown sugar cinnamon mixture and I put it over the monkey bread. And now we're going to let that sit for maybe about an hour until it doubles in size. Keep it in a warm place. I like to do it in my oven with the light on and the oven off, and it just creates a really nice proofing little chamber. So you don't have to buy a proofing chamber, just use your oven, turn on that light, girl, turn it on, and let your bread or your dough, whatever you're making, just rise up in the oven. I do that all of the time, especially in the winter because it is cold and I live in an old house, and it's so cold and drafty in the winter that light really helps a girl out. So while my monkey bread was rising and I'm tending to my family and hanging out with my kids, I was able to score this beautiful Facebook Market dresser. It is a beautiful antique dresser. And the guy was so nice and drove it over an hour to my house. And I could not believe that. I paid him for his time and his gas. And he was really sweet, very sweet people. They were like little hippie people, and they were just so funny, so sweet. I was so grateful for that. Now, here's a little dose of reality. A little dose of reality for you guys. I mean, I do always share my real life, but here is something that I feel like maybe people don't share. But behind all the home cooked food and keeping my house tidy is some piles of laundry. I like to keep it real with you guys, and I'm just showing you, yeah, I'm in the kitchen doing meal prep and I'm hanging out and I'm doing all this stuff. But just remember, the people that you think are doing it all are not truly doing it all, because you can't. It's impossible. Oh, wow, these cars are loud. So there is piles of laundry, and the people that you think are doing it all are not doing it all. So I always just want to share that reality with you guys because, nobody's perfect, and like I said, no one's doing it all. And I have a ton of laundry that's clean, and we've been, just kind of living out of the laundry basket, and that's cool too. And I'll get to it when I get to it, and sometimes I don't get to it and I have to rewash all these clothes again. And then the cycle starts again. I also don't fold my kids' clothes. I find that to be a very big waste of time these days because they just empty their drawers out anyway to get themselves dressed. So I just put them in there nicely and kind of stack them on each other, and I don't waste time doing laundry or folding their laundry. I fold my clothes, and we still appreciate a nice stack of folded clothes, but my kids, they do not, so that's okay. It saves mama some time. That's probably one of my biggest mom hacks is do not worry about folding their clothes. And even they fold their own clothes sometimes, which is funny. I just wanted to show you these workbooks that we've been doing for homeschool. I get asked to talk a little bit more about homeschool. I am no expert, you guys. I have been doing this a few years and we absolutely love it. I love the fact that you can roll out of bed whenever you want to. We try to homeschool before 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock ish, and we can have a hot breakfast. We can hang out. We're in our pajamas. I have my coffee. And we are just hanging out, just enjoying each other's company. It can be stressful at times to get them to focus and whatever else. And then we have the baby running around us doing her thing while we homeschool. And she always wants to be a part of it too, which is so funny and sweet, but also can be a little bit frustrating at times. But we are doing Explode the Code, and we are trying to really focus in on learning how to spell and read, because I feel like that's one of the most challenging things to teach your children, especially the English language is tricky. I don't know. I have so many thoughts on that. Like, why is it the way it is? Why did we choose to do it this way? It's so hard to explain sometimes on why things are the way they are. But nevertheless, we are doing Explode the Code. I also want to do the 100 lessons to learn how to read as well. I will share some other curriculum stuff as the school year begins. But we are doing homeschool throughout the summer because I just want to get my kids a little further along when it comes to reading and spelling. So we're going to do all of the Explode the Code books, and let me know down below what you guys recommend for reading and spelling. We do Memoria Press for our main curriculum, but I also have been now doing this, and I find this book to be very helpful. They have been learning a lot over the summer just with this one workbook. So I'm excited to do all of the other ones. Okay, Monkey Bread is proof that she is ready. So the monkey bread is ready. She is ready to go. It is time to bake. It has doubled in size, and I'm going to take off this saran wrap. You can use like beeswax wrap. I don't have any at the moment. I know plastic is wasteful, but yeah, we're using plastic. So it is what it is, and that's okay. I like to reuse my plastic wrap when I can, and I also wash my plastic bags, like my Ziploc bags and my parchment paper, because I'm a crazy lady and I just like to, be as eco-friendly as possible. I'm not perfect. Here's the monkey bread. My mama is back there. So grateful for her. Shout outs to grandma, always so amazing, coming over my house and just helping me clean up and helping me with the kids. The village, I always say, is so important. If you have the village, and if you don't have the village, I highly recommend to seek out the village because it is so critical for your mental health and for your kids. It's really nice to have all these extra hands, extra love. And I can't wait. I mean, I can wait. No rush on the grandkids or anything like that. I'm not even 30 yet. But I'm just saying that I cannot wait for those days in the future. I look forward to being a grandma is all I'm saying. Look forward to being an active grandma for my kids, is always being there, cleaning up their house, helping them with the kids, helping them with meals and stuff like that. When I am a empty nester, or maybe I'll be lucky and have some grandkids and some of my kids living with me for a while. That would be nice on some property. I would love that. I would love for all my kids to want to stay home and build on the same property and whatever. That's like the dream. I am putting a little glaze on top of the monkey bread. And now the monkey bread started falling apart because sometimes that happens when you take it out the pan. especially if you're a little impatient and don't let it cool down enough. But then if you let it cool down too much, it's going to be way too hard to get out the pan. So you have to find that good in between. But you can just stick it back together. It's nice and warm, so you can just kind of glue it together by itself, or use some of the glaze or frosting to do that. Now, to make the glaze, I only did powdered sugar, a little bit of water, mix that together, and boom, you have a good glaze. And it's super simple and easy to make. Now, this is going to be for the next morning, so I put that aside, and she is beautiful. She is all done and absolutely delicious. Let's just say this went very quick, and it was eaten the next morning, and it was really nice to already have breakfast kind of done. All I did was make some sausage, some eggs for the people that wanted eggs, because I know some kids could be picky about eggs too, but my kids really wanted to eat this now. They're like, what? We have to wait till the next day? But it warms up really good. I'm sorry if you hear children, sorry, not sorry, in the background, because, this is their home. They live here, and I cannot just voice record at night for y'all. I'm so sorry. It is too late, and mama is tired, especially these days being halfway through my pregnancy. I'm just tired, or more than halfway at this point. But we did a very quick and easy dinner. Marinated chicken is one of my favorite go-tos. This is barbecue marinated chicken. Threw a whole bunch of seasonings, barbecue sauce, and some garlic in with my chicken. Let that marinate overnight, and we just did that with a little bit of broccoli, and I think we did potatoes as well that I did not picture because life kind of got busy. They came over at this point, and I spent the night. And then the next day we were doing play-doh because the play-doh was a big hit. The kids could not wait to do the play-doh. We had so much fun. So much fun. And you could see the little fun rainbow swirl in there. We took kitchen tools as well as some old Play-Doh tools that we had with us. And the kids just had so much fun. I made a little basket full of the Play-Doh stuff because the cousins ended up coming that night that we were doing all that prep work. And I made the monkey bread for the next morning so we could have easy breakfast. But yeah, it was just a really good time. Now, Play-Doh can be messy, I know. So I always let it dry and get kind of hard. It's so much easier to clean it up that way when the Play-Doh is already dry. But it's inevitable. It's going to get on the floor. That's just that's just mom life. That's just what happens when you do Play-Doh. But it's so worth it because the kids really have fun. And then we went ahead and watched Shark Tales. Who remembers Shark Tales? I have so much fun watching the movies and shows that we did as kids. I am a huge fan of nostalgia. And then the next morning we headed off to go right down the street into the country because I live in a really urban area, but right down the street it's like country where I really want to be. And so we just headed down the street a little bit down the way, and we have a whole bunch of beautiful orchards and farms, raw milk, all that kind of stuff accessible to us, and I'm so grateful for that. So when we visit U-Picks in our area, our local orchards or farms, it's just a blast. You have to go early in the morning though because it is very hot these days in the summer. So it was supposed to be 104 this day, and it turned out to be, I think, even a little bit hotter. So we got out there at 8 a.m. We ate our monkey bread, we had our breakfast, we got dressed, and we headed out there very early. I had my mom with us, we had the cousins, and it was just so fun. Now, my husband ended up having a this isn't funny. He ended up having a actual asthma attack because he has allergies, and that part wasn't fun. So we were able to pick a whole bunch of cherries within maybe like 30 minutes, and then we had to go because he started having breathing issues. So that's just a little bit of reality right there for you guys, because I know on social media people love to make things look absolutely amazing and such a good time, which it was a really good time. But we didn't get to stay out here too long because, one, let's be real, kids pick things really fast. When you're doing apples or berries or cherries in this instance, they start picking really fast, and that total starts adding up, baby, okay? It starts getting very expensive. However, there is good deals for when you pick your own fruit, but the kids can overpick and you don't want to waste anything either. Fruit, any kind of fresh produce really doesn't go to waste in my house for sure because my kids love fruit and we can't honestly keep enough fruit in the house. So I wasn't worried about things going to waste, but more about that total because it gets pretty expensive if you pick too much. So, and cherries in general are pretty expensive, even in the store, because of the labor that goes into actually picking them and harvesting them is not the easiest thing on a large scale. So I think cherries are just typically a little bit more expensive, but oh my goodness, are they delicious? And these freshly picked cherries were so good. But yeah, we did have to leave probably 30 minutes in, and we were supposed to be meeting friends here as well. And soon as they made it out to the orchard, we actually had to go because my husband needed to some fresh air where there wasn't all this dust and stuff kicking around, and his asthma did calm down and everybody was fine. He was fine. But yeah, that was definitely a little hiccup in the plans for sure, but that's the way life is. You kind of just got to roll with the punches, and however things play out however it's supposed to, that God has it planned. That's just kind of how it was. The kids, they went on this little tractor ride. Actually, it was after this tractor ride, my husband started having the asthma attack. So we had to go. But we did manage to pick quite a few cherries and they lasted a few days. We ended up making preserves out of some of the cherries, and then the rest of them we ended up eating fresh. These cherries were so juicy, so delicious. I ended up also picking up some freshly pressed apple juice. This is a cold pressed apple juice. This is by the same orchard that does the organic apples that we pick in the fall. You best believe I'm going to be out there super pregnant doing my picking come September, October, okay? That is going to be one of the last things I do before I have to go on like postpartum rest because, I'll have a new baby. But I am looking so forward to apple picking in the fall. I know a lot of us are already dreaming of fall. I am currently trying to live in this season, okay? I'm not trying to think too much about fall because I know we kind of do that, at least on social media. It seems like people move from season to season really fast and they don't enjoy the current season that they're living in. But I'm telling you, I am actually thoroughly enjoying summer. Usually I'm not a fan of summer, to be honest, but I am loving it this year, which is a nice change for me because it does get really hot, like I said, where I live. And I don't absolutely love to burn up during the summer, but I also am really enjoying these days at the pool and the sunshine, taking little walks with the baby and the kids outside for a little bit. And of course, the fruit picking. We did not do strawberry and blueberry picking this year. We just opted for cherry picking. And that was a really nice change. But every year we typically go pick berries and peaches too. I just feel like it's too hot. And I just do not have the energy for that this year. I pitted some of the cherries and I put them in the freezer to make preserves with at a different time. And then we are going to make a little summer salad, fruit salad, and then head out to the pool. But yeah, like I was saying, I don't have like the energy really to do another farm picking day. I do get pain on my hip during my pregnancy sometimes. And I think that's just my body telling me to kind of calm down, sit down. I am not the kind of woman that sits down a lot. I am always on my feet, always doing stuff. And I feel like that can be a downfall for me, is not taking enough rest. I think prioritizing rest is just as productive as doing things because, you burn out and crash out if you are not taking rest, the proper rest, especially when growing a human being. So that's something I'm always trying to remember too, is taking enough rest. So we probably won't be doing berry picking and other stuff like that this year, but we will stop by the farm and support them and get some fresh produce. But I don't know if we're going to be straight up picking it this year. But I look forward maybe to doing that again next year. But I'm really looking forward to picking apples in the fall. That is one of my favorite fall traditions. And I'm just honestly thoroughly excited about that. My cousin brought a really fresh pineapple over, so I decided to cut that up and we put some cherries with it and headed off to the pool. Pineapple is such a good summer favorite. We need to buy it more. We barely buy it. The kids are behind me watching me put this fruit salad together. We are in our swimsuits. They are ready to go. They are ready to swim. You guys see those pool noodles flailing in the background, and they're having pool noodle fights behind me while I get together this little salad for the pool. We also had a whole bunch of other snacks and drinks and stuff like that because you got to have snacks for the pool because these kids get so hungry while they're swimming. So we swam for a few hours, and that's always a good time to go swimming. I am so grateful we have a pool accessible to us. We have like a little nice community pool that we use all throughout the summer, which I feel like is such a blessing because it is so hot where I live that I feel that if it's not at the pool, we are basically going to be inside or outside in the very early hours of the morning because it is so just insufferably hot. It's insufferably hot out here during the daytime that no one wants to be outside. So we're not doing park days. We're not doing any of that because of like heat stroke, okay? I will not survive out there. Anyway, so the pool, it's kind of like the pool or nothing for us to be outside or like a little walk or something of that nature, just nice and short, or we go out in the early morning hours to get out of the house for a little bit. But the pool is definitely our number one go-to when it comes to spending time outside. Or we also like to go on the patio and do our little gardening. That's always fun. But yeah, other than that, we don't spend too much time outside because like I said, it gets very hot. So I went ahead and threw those frozen pizzas that we did the day before in the oven. We came back from swimming, everyone showered, and then we decided to go ahead and get the kids making their own pizzas because they were hungry. The kids were hungry, so we threw those pizzas in, and then they started making their own. We showered, we cleaned up from the pool, and we started getting going on those pizzas. It was so fun, like I was saying earlier, to watch them make their own pizzas and the little combinations and see what they like. And here's some of their little pizzas that I just cut up in fast motion for you guys. I just cut up their pizzas, and then we also had our big pizzas. I am back in my robe, y'all, okay? Back in the robe. I live in my robe most of the time when I'm in the kitchen because it's just convenient. It's comfy and cozy. And I just got out the shower because we went to the pool. So I had to get everybody all rinsed off from that chlorine and moisturized up because, you know, the pool dries your skin out. At least it does for us. But having those pizzas done, having that convenience ahead of time is key. And then after we made those pizzas, then we ended up popping some of that cookie dough and making cookies while we were watching a movie. And that was really fun. I always do a little sprinkle of sea salt in the middle of the cookies. It just really brings out the flavor, gives you that nice sweet and saltiness to the cookie. And the cookies were so good. Had it with a little bit of raw milk. But yeah, cookies with raw milk, store-bought milk, absolutely delicious. Family favorite recipe for sure. And then we are watching Lilo and Stitch. We're keeping with the summer theme, watching all of the fun summer movies. Now, I'm not a big fan of Disney and a lot of the things and decisions and movies they put out nowadays, but I do love the ones from our childhood. I feel like they're pretty wholesome and sweet. But yeah, I know Disney's not perfect and they have their issues. We do enjoy some Disney entertainment here and there. Lilo and Stitch is definitely a favorite from my childhood, and it was really fun to watch that together. And then I made some sourdough discard pancakes the next morning. And then here's me a few weeks later actually making something with that cherry preserve. I'll share it in an upcoming video. But yeah, we had such a good weekend. Highly recommend to host if you can. Remember, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to make all the things from scratch. I just like to do it because it's my love language to show love that way, as well as it helps save money. And I really enjoy putting the time and effort into making homemade stuff because that's just something I'm passionate about. But again, not everybody is, and that is okay. You can host with store-bought, and that is totally fine. And you are going to have a good old grand time, okay? Anyway, you guys, thank you so much. Make sure you check the description if you are interested in any of these recipes. whether it's by me or by another baker creator. I will leave that down below. I will leave the links, all of that good stuff, and I will see you guys in the next one. Let me know, what are you doing this summer? What are you making when you're hosting? What are your favorite hosting tips and tricks, and how do you save money while hosting? Or do you just go full throttle with it and don't really care about saving money when hosting? I would love to know. I would absolutely love to know. Talk to me down there in the comments. You guys are always so great. It's always fun conversations down there. And yeah, so I hope you guys are having a good summer. I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye.